Right now at 5, airlines canceling flights across the nation, including United Airlines, which serves the Joplin Regional Airport. We'll hear from some local travelers. Plus, some shoppers hit the Webb City Farmers Market today for some last-minute deals.
I'm Ian Lee with how people are celebrating, and we even got a word from the big man himself, Santa.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A 62-year-old Seneca, Missouri woman is behind bars tonight accused of shooting and killing a man. This is KOAM News at 5. Police say yesterday Suzette Anderson killed David Wesley Stotts and tried to stage the crime scene to look like self-defense. A probable cause statement says a witness told police that Anderson said the victim Stotts tried to attack her. The witness says Anderson then told him to stage the incident by putting a rock, a stick, and then a metal rod in the victim's hand. Anderson is charged with first-degree murder and armed criminal action. And it is not beginning to look a lot like Christmas out there. Nick Kelly joining us.
No, not with the strong south wind that we had throughout the day, Chris, warming us up to the extent that it did. And so even though we're looking quiet from 7th and range line with cloud cover trying to build back in, look at these numbers. I usually don't show the almanac, but this is an exception here from the 5 o'clock hour. 58 this morning, well above our normal high of 46. And our high of 75 today, as Doug said the other day, shattered the old record of 73, set back in 1955. We have quite a bit more cloud cover building out to the west, ready to roll on in as we have a frontal system that is knocking on the door as well. That is going to keep most of us dry, but as long as we're still ahead of the front, a lot of us are still in the lower 70s at the 5 o'clock hour with the strong southerly wind at about 15 to 25 miles per hour. And gusts will be pushing near 40. So that's why as we roll in your Christmas Eve forecast, we're going to stay near 70 by 6 o'clock, upper 60s all the way till the midnight hour. But with this passing front, can't rule out a few showers. But Chris, most of us will be dry as we head toward Christmas morning. But I'm tracking better rain chances down the road. We'll break that down here in a bit.
All right, Nick, thank you. Airlines have canceled hundreds of flights this Christmas Eve, leading to stress and panic from travelers. Delta and United Airlines have blamed some cancellations on rising COVID-19 infections. Locally at the Joplin Regional Airport, which flies United out of major hubs like Chicago and Houston, no cancellations have been reported, but flyers did experience some delays.
So we had an email probably 2 weeks or a week and a half earlier saying that it had been delayed an hour, but obviously that's a fair amount of time to give you to know that it's later.
We'll hear more from flyers coming into Joplin tonight at 6. Down to the northeast, in Webb City, the Farmers Market was hosting its own Christmas Eve market. Like the Empire Market, there were around 20 vendors on hand. We caught up with one of them who tells us what it means to be a part of the market and last-minute shopping for four-staters.
Farmers Market is a culture all its own, and we have a lot of people here that just like to come and buy local. On a day like today, I've already seen a lot of last-minute shopping, and people are very excited to be ready for the holidays.
Now, this market featured music, too, because the holiday shopping experience wouldn't be complete without some holiday tunes. The Our Place food truck hosted a Christmas Eve cookout in Joplin today. The goal was to make sure that people were fed heading into Christmas Day when many places are closed. And from 11 to 3 today, people come by for a free meal, and those wanting to support the mission were invited to pay it forward by dropping off a gift.
It's the way we want to spend Christmas Eve. I mean, it's getting out here, feeding one another, having conversations, because last I checked, that's how you fix anything, is having good conversations and sharing food with one another.
Organizers say they'd like to do this every day if possible. Christmas celebrations have kicked off around the globe, and as CBS's Ian Lee reports, even Santa was seen getting ready for his big night.
It's Christmas time all over the world. And the spirit is real in Bethlehem. Palestinian Christians paraded in front of the Church of the Nativity, where tradition holds that Jesus was born. And at the Vatican, Pope Francis urged people to be humble this holiday season. Earlier today, the snow was thick as the man in red also gave a Christmas message before his big night.
Now it is time to turn these worries into plenty of goodwill. Let's give time to children and young people and do something together.
Santa stopped off in Paris to swim with the fish before heading down to Brazil to deliver 300,000 meals to people in need. But there are concerns COVID will play a Grinch again this Christmas. Here in the UK, Prime Minister Boris Johnson used his annual holiday message to urge everyone to get vaccinated.
Getting jabbed, not just for themselves, for ourselves, but for friends and family and everyone we meet. And that, after all, is the teaching of Jesus Christ.
In Thailand, Santa's helpers swapped reindeer for elephants to deliver hand sanitizer and masks to children. And in Spain, there's a holiday rush to get tested for COVID to give folks peace of mind when visiting family during the season of peace. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
So here's a fun fact. When we think of the nativity scene in baby Jesus in Bethlehem, we often think of something that looks like a wooden barn. But according to Christian tradition, the manger was actually in a cave. Still ahead.
I'm Natalie Brand in Washington with a doctor's advice on staying COVID safe this holiday weekend if you're gathering with loved ones.
Carnival Cruises says a small number of people on board one of its ships have tested positive for COVID-19. Those who contracted the virus on the Carnival Freedom are in isolation. Carnival says the ship is docking at Amber Cove in the Dominican Republic Friday after being denied entry into Bonaire and Aruba. The cruise line says it is working with local health authorities at the destinations they visit. All guests were tested before the ship departed Miami on December 18. It's expected to return December 26th. 13 million people in China are unable to leave their homes after a COVID outbreak. The city of Xi'an is now designated a controlled area, China's second highest category of lockdown, meaning residents are banned from leaving their homes except for urgent cases like medical emergencies. Each household is only allowed to send one designated person out of the house to buy groceries every 2 days. This all started on Tuesday when 52 new COVID-19 cases were recorded in the city. Since then, mass testing is taking place in various areas across the country. Sweeping restrictions come as the country braces for the Lunar New Year travel rush, followed by the 2022 Winter Olympics, due to begin in the capital, Beijing, on February the 4th. Healthcare workers with COVID-19 no longer need to isolate for 10 days. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control has updated its quarantine guidance for healthcare workers ahead of an anticipated increase in Omicron cases. The CDC now says healthcare workers who are fully vaccinated, including a booster, do not need to quarantine after high-risk exposures. Also, healthcare workers with COVID-19 who are asymptomatic can return to work after 7 days with a negative test. That isolation time can be cut even further if there are staffing shortages. The agency hopes new guidelines will limit the effects of healthcare staffing shortages caused by COVID-19. As we approach our second COVID Christmas, many are wrestling once again over whether it's safe to gather with family and loved ones. We take a look at some precautions you can take during this Omicron surge, including testing after you've returned back home. Natalie Brand has more details from Washington.
From coast to coast, the hot holiday item this year, a COVID test, especially if you're among the millions of Americans traveling this Christmas weekend.
I think if they've been tested before they've gotten on the plane, then I think you're in really pretty good shape, because in the unlikely event that they picked up something during their travel, the test won't be positive yet. It takes a couple of 3 days for that test to become positive.
Dr. William Schaffner of Vanderbilt University Medical Center says if you have the supplies and are worried about exposure risk, go ahead and test twice a week. But with supplies scarce, what do you do if you don't have a test?
Let's ask who's gathering together. Are the grandparents healthy, or do they have underlying illnesses? Is Aunt Susie going to be there with her diabetes? In which case, let's all gather together, wear the mask, keep social distancing, except during the time when we're eating.
If you're lucky enough to get your hands on one of these at-home rapid tests, the experts say make sure you are following the instructions to the letter.
If any of those variables aren't exactly right, the test can be much less accurate.
Dr. Emily Volk of the College of American Pathologists also says the PCR lab run test is still the gold standard if you're able to find a clinic near you. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, Washington.
The federal government is expanding its testing locations with the newest site opening in New York this week. It is also launching a website in January where Americans can log on and get at-home tests delivered to their door for free. That's a look at today's top health news. A little later, food and retail workers across America are getting burned out from the pandemic.
Plus, after a warm, record-breaking Christmas Eve, we're going to see up and down temperatures as we start wrapping up the year as we go into next week. Forecast up next. This does not feel like a typical Christmas Eve whatsoever. Even though it was nice that we kept things dry as we kick off the holiday weekend, just look at these numbers over the past 36 hours. We trended near 60 yesterday afternoon with partly sunny skies. Nothing too terribly warm, but we had midnight lows around 60. We pushed to 62 by 9 a.m. And Joplin so far today hit a high of 75 degrees. That shatters the old record of 73 back in 1955. And not only that, this is as another day for December where temperatures were above normal. You can see how there's a lot of red on here. 5 of the days so far this month have been below normal, where it actually felt like December. But the majority of these days, highs pushing into the 50s, 60s, and even 70s. We are going to see an up and down trend kick in, though, as we start to wrap up the year. As we go into next week. In the short term, though, looking okay from 7th and range line, but 72 degrees, that south wind still had it. 18 sustained with the gusts near 30 miles per hour. No wonder it's still so mild on this Christmas Eve evening at the 5 o'clock hour. Most of us are near 70, if not into the lower 70s. And these temperatures are going to stay quite mild throughout the evening because even though the south breeze was strongest during the day at 15 to 25 of gusts, pushing 35, we're still seeing the sustained winds between 10 and 20 miles per hour. That is going to mainly keep temperatures near 70 by the top of the hour, in the mid to upper 60s for the rest of this evening. But eventually, though, with the front working through, we are going to see temperatures drop back into the 40s and 50s as we get Christmas morning underway. But a lot of cloud cover streaming in from the west as more develops out to the west, all because of a cold front that is on the move. Couple that with a quick upper level wave coming out of Colorado that is trying to pull in just enough moisture to not only keep mostly cloudy skies in place as we get this evening underway, but can't rule out the slim chance for a few showers in our northern counties. I think the future track here is just overdoing it just a little bit in terms of coverage, but I am going to keep an eye on a couple of showers as we go later into the evening. But you can see how as we go through the overnight, maybe a little bit of clearing in some spots, but once that front kicks through though, whoop, didn't mean to do that. We are going to see at least temperatures trying to go a little bit cooler for your Christmas day. So let me take you down into Joplin for the city planner here. 55 in the morning as we wake up. Then we're going to see that southwest wind lighten up and turn more westerly and northwesterly throughout the afternoon. We'll say 60 by noon, and afternoon temperatures around Joplin topping out around 63. This will still be a mild day, though, with lower, if not mid-60s all across the region. But all of Christmas Day is looking dry. But as we look on down the road, we see one wave trying to give us a few showers on Sunday. That's our next best shot for any scattered rain. But then as we head toward the middle of the week, this wave will send another system our way. That is going to be a better shot for rain and even thunderstorms Tuesday and into Wednesday of next week. 63, mild but dry for Christmas Day tomorrow, 70 on Sunday, back into the 50s on Monday, 60s on Tuesday. Then a little more normal temperatures by the middle of the week, Chris. 41 on Wednesday and mid-40s on Thursday.
And then we head into the new year, and it looks like it starts to warm right back up again. This has been a roller coaster.
But sticking with Doug's pattern, around New Year's or right after New Year's, a chance for rain, maybe snow.
All right, Nick, thank you so much. Well, coming up, prices continue to climb in response to inflation. But first, Take this time to honor one of our many four-state heroes. Travis Allen served in the Army, his hometown, Fort Scott. We're proud to recognize Travis Allen, tonight's four-state hero. Well, if prices seem particularly high, you're right. In fact, inflation is hitting the highest level in 39 years. Thursday, the Bureau of Economic Analysis reported that U.S. inflation rose 5.7% in the 12 months ending in November. That's the fastest increase in consumer spending price index since July of 1982. American incomes also rose last month by 4%, slightly less than October. Most of the increase was higher spending on services like housing and utilities. Consumer spending also rose 6%, or $104 billion heading into the holidays. Prices may be high, but according to the data, it may be peaking. Plus, it shows Americans remain optimistic about the economy and the path to recovery in 2022. Food and retail workers are burned out after nearly 2 years of dealing with the pandemic. The United Food and Commercial Workers Union says more than 50,000 retail and grocery workers have been infected or exposed to coronavirus, and at least 213 have died. And now there's the rising threat from the Omicron variant. The union sent a letter to 63 retail chains calling on them to step up their safety policies. They want companies to once again promote masks for customers and distribute personal protective equipment to workers. The union is also asking stores to reestablish social distancing measures and offer paid sick leave benefits. Some companies, including Walmart and Amazon, are requiring workers wear masks again, but they haven't updated their customer policies. All these factors are contributing to the labor shortage in the service industry. Wineries and distilleries are the latest to be affected by supply chain issues. That's because there's a shortage of glass bottles, and it could impact your holiday cheer. Nichelle Medina reports.
Jesse Fanning is in the business of making whiskey.
We really wanted to resurrect the family name, and whiskey was the way to do it.
His tasting room and distillery, Henneberry near San Diego, has grown over the last 9 years. But these days, his passion for making spirits has been shaken.
This is where you keep your glass bottles.
It is. We're living bottle to bottle, day at a time.
That's what's in here right now.
Correct.
This is just going to fulfill the next order.
That's exactly right.
The U.S. is facing a glass bottle shortage. Shipping backups, labor woes, and a trucker shortage are leading to higher prices.
So even domestically, we're at about a 20% increase already, and these are glass bottles that are already created.
Most of us are looking for different distributors.
Dana LaFleur owns a micro winery and is president of a Southern California collective representing urban wineries, meaderies, and cideries. She says it could get worse in the new year. It's a concern since wineries need many types of bottles.
We'll use Bordeaux bottles, Burgundy bottles, bottles for Chardonnay. They're all shaped differently and have different, purposes.
With demand high and a busy holiday season, consumers may struggle to find some of their favorite spirits. One store in Texas is even limiting sales.
I've never seen anything like it.
How much more have you had to raise prices to the consumer because of the shortage?
Well, so far I haven't raised prices yet, but it's inevitable.
Creating the holiday spirit is coming at a higher cost, and it's not clear when this bottle shortage will ease. Nichelle Medina, CBS News, Vista, California.
Well, the problems aren't just limited to bottles. Distilleries and wineries are also having a hard time getting corks and labels. In observance of the Christmas holiday, the markets are closed today. We'll be right back with a final check of the forecast and look at what's coming up tonight at 6. CBS Evening News is next. Then on KOAM News at 6, a Seneca woman is behind bars accused of shooting and killing a man. Plus, how local travelers are being impacted by flight cancellations due to COVID. And Watered Gardens hosts a dinner for the homeless and offers them some fellowship. Stay with us. CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. And certainly a mild evening to wrap up, to head into Christmas Eve with here.
I know, after an arguably warm afternoon. In fact, we were talking before we came back on the air. Today was warmer than the record high 72s we set on Christmas Day back in 2016. That's still mind-boggling for even me to comprehend. But we're going to trend just a little bit cooler tomorrow, but still mild for Christmas Day. At least we're dry, though, highs around 63. We'll go 70. We'll have a quick wave, bringing some shower chances on Sunday. Dry Monday, then the next chance for rain and even thunderstorms will come our way Tuesday and Wednesday.
It's just kind of wild. Thunderstorms in the end of December. But hey, it's the 4 states. We've said it before. Nick, thank you so much. That's our time for now. CBS Evening News is next. We'll be back at 6. Thanks for making us part of your night.